What's up everyone, my name's Lou and it's my mission to aid your awakening. And my number one tip in this video, my number one trick of manifestation that you're not realizing is that you are being exactly who you want to be. You are being exactly who you want to be. You're living your dream, you are being exactly who you want to be, but you might not even realize it, right? In this video I'm going to describe how you're always creating a reality, even when you don't know it, and how we get lost so much into this idea of who am I deep down, who really am I, this idea of who am I need to be myself, who is the self. We're going to get that into this video, guys, and make you realize, wake up and make you realize how you are living exactly the life you want to live, and you're being exactly the person you want to be, whether or not you know it. Let's get into it. So guys, the reason I came at it quite emphatically at the start there, and why I've got my hood up to sort of emphasize the bold color or the bold vision, no, I'm just joking. But the idea is, guys, in this video that I really want to share with you this idea that this fact, this truth that we're always being who we want to be. And often we get caught in this, somewhat of a malaise by thinking, I need to be myself, I need to be this person that I was actually conditioned and brought up and I didn't choose to be, but I need to, because I feel a bit strange, I'm waking up now, I'm disidentifying with that former self. I need to sort of reclaim it and go back to that person and dig up, all these old conditionings that have left us now, have left us forever. And whether or not, you're probably at a temporary phase where you're not yet moved into the person that you really actually want to be and living more of a conscious life that, you got into this kind of thing in the first place for, there's that malaise, like I said, there's that temporary phase where you're not sure who you are and you kind of want to go back and claim all that old conditioning. And I talked about this in my video about being lost, right? There's this idea that we are this set person, and then things, whether or not you wanted the awakenings happen, whether or not you sort of conjured it up yourself doing Kundalini breath work and meditation like I kind of did, but at the same time I was doing it to feel good. I wasn't doing it so that I'd go through some crazy, awakening experience, some kind of spiritual awakening that would shake up everything in my life and all the ways I think about myself. But either way, whatever reason you got into this for, whatever it was about, you're now in this weird phase, whether you chose it or not, where you don't really know who you are and you're changing as a person, but the change doesn't happen overnight. I think you've got to realize that, guys, and a lot of you must, should know that by now, that this change isn't so much of you adding on things to make yourself a different person, adding on these characteristics, adding on these abilities, these skills, this awareness, whatever it could be. It's mostly an unlearning process. And that's because when I say, I love the term be yourself, I think the term be yourself is great, but it's very convoluted as an expression, and it's way used so much that I think it confuses a lot of people, because they may not be happy with themselves, yet they're being told that change is bad, or even wishing to change in any sort of positive, more conscious way is negative, which is completely isn't. But one of the reasons I think it gets so confused is because there's the idea of what is the self. I've kind of done another video where I talk about this. I talk about who we really are deep down. I'll link it down in the description below. But the idea of who we are, who is the self, is a strange one. But for most of spirituality, and most people that get into spirituality, they know that the self is something we all have. It is the self. The inner self isn't like a way you look, a way you smell, a way you talk, a way you act. The self is that thing behind, is your awareness, is your space of consciousness. And the self itself is important, because the space, yourself, is that divine part of yourself, the self. And we all are connected to the self. It's just pure awareness, pure state of being. This is, blissful, this is awakened, this is transcendent. The self can be anything. And that's why I'm saying in this video, we are always being everything. We are always doing exactly what we want to do. Don't get convoluted into trying to be someone you were, because the self is extremely versatile. The self, once you remove this condition, you can realize you can be anybody you want, and you are actually being anybody you want. Because it's quite an asleep way of looking at things to think that, in manifestation, a lot of people think law of attraction's about, you look at a nice car and you think, You know what? If I think about that car a lot, if I draw pictures of it and save pictures of it on my phone, which visualization is okay, it adds a little bit. But if I just think about that car, if I remember to think about it, it'll be mine one day. And sure, surprise, there might be a few examples where that happened, but really it's not the way we should look at life. It's said, everyone's heard the expression, the external is a reflection, is a mirror of the internal, because we are constantly manifesting things. And that's what, when you go on this experience, when you wake up, when you become conscious, you get drawn out of being this conditioning, because we've had this personality we keep reminding ourselves of. They've got to see me like this, they've got to see me like this. This story we're just telling ourselves again and again and again. Just done a video on stories recently, it's kind of links to it, and it also kind of links to the void. Because when you are changing, when you are starting to go through this strange phase, you don't really know what the hell's going on, what's going on with me, you might feel an opening inside yourself, like a void, but you'll later find that this is sort of like an empty feeling. What is this empty feeling? We are constantly creating our reality. We are constantly reassuring ourselves, reaffirming what we believe. If we believe, I'm not good enough, it's going to start reaffirming. That's an obvious one. If we also believe, I've got to think about that car, I've got to think about that car to get it, you're not really taking any action to actually get it. Also, you're not taking any action to vibrate, to change yourself and vibrate at the level at which you can get the car. Am I kind of getting you now? Look at it like this. This strange feeling of emptiness is often looked down upon by Western tradition. Western way of thinking sees emptiness as something very negative, right? Empty is that scary thing. It's when we've achieved something, but we feel empty afterwards, or we do something, it's meant to fill us, meant to make us feel better, but we feel empty. For me, emptiness is actually a good thing. If you look at the Zen principles of Zen tradition, emptiness is a very good thing. It's a state in which you see past disillusion. In the Buddhist tradition, they see emptiness, they call it sunyata. They see it as the emptiness of essence. This is where you discover your essence. And it's empty because it is not strictly one thing, and it's not strictly anything else. Just like yourself, once you tap into this space, you become aware of this emptiness inside you. Your cup's not, you're not fully, conformed to one character. You're not fully rigid in one character structure. You're starting to, this space is opening up. It's starting to allow you to let go of energy blockages. It's starting to allow you to let go of limiting beliefs, of feeling one way that you can't do anything and you actually can do something. My old blockage was that I used to feel that I used to be very against the idea that anyone can do anything. Very, very against it. I mean, there's always got to be boundaries with this thinking ideas of this way. I mean, if you're very poor, you come from a very difficult area, and you're starving for food, you're far less likely to do something than someone who's been privileged with having all the resources they need, never needed to worry about where to eat, sleep, or drink water, basic things like that. But my thinking was way too rigid, and I was very critical, and still sort of am, of capitalism. I thought, because of the capitalist structure, the idea of the American dream is so unfeasible, it's ridiculous. It's some old propaganda concept for them not to justify, welfare spending, for example. And I still sort of believe in that, but I also believe that anything is possible. Now, once I let go of my conditioning in these sort of ways, I started to separate myself with these old beliefs. Once I let go of my belief, let go of my conditioning, I started to realize I can be anyone I want. And I always had anxiety, always wanted to kind of be more confident, and I thought I can be confident. It's first accepting that it is possible, and it's through letting go, it's through surrendering that this can become possible. You are being exactly who you want to be. You're just not aware that you're fulfilling these ideas, fulfilling these beliefs. When you go to bed each night, you're dreaming of wanting to be someone different or looking different. You're constantly reaffirming to yourself that you're not that person. And yes, that will just stay like that, a dream. When instead you should be thinking, I am, reaffirming positive affirmations, filling that space of potential, the emptiness, with, if you discover this emptiness, that means you have the space to change. It's space which is making way for change. Essence has awoken within you, and with essence, it's the creative spark at which you want to manifest and create anything in life. So when you find out this essence, know it's a good thing. So the Eastern idea is that you're seeing beyond illusions now, because emptiness has no inherent nature by itself, just like reality has no inherent nature by itself. When one person looks at a wall, they may say, well, let's just say what's around us now. When someone looks at a twig, they may say, oh, grotty twig with mold on. that means it's getting cold, it's the coming of the season. Ugh, oh no. Someone else may see it and think, wow, look at that beautiful. Oh wow, it could be a wand, you know, like in Harry Potter. Oh, look at the colours. This means it's fall. I love the colours in fall, the sort of the yellow and this sort of brown colour that, you know, leads to the leaves melting. It's a great season. This is happening for me in autumn. Everyone sees reality in a different way. Yes, you may say that someone may see it as a twig, another person may say it as the exact, you know, form of tree, twig this is, branch. I have no idea, I'm not the best with that. But a child that doesn't even know the word for twig might have a completely unconditioned view of what this is. So that's just an example that everyone sees reality in different ways. Some people see it with a negative lens on. People see it with different emotional lenses on, which affects how they perceive that thing itself. Reality has no inherent nature by itself, but you have no inherent nature by yourself. And this is what you realize when you realize that when someone says be yourself, you know that being yourself doesn't mean a defined personality, defined way of looking, defined way of acting. Be yourself means tap into that inherent nature we all have, the self, the limitless self, the timeless self, the self which makes you, once you tap into it and free of all these mental and, you know, social and idea conditioning that we've been grown up with, free of that vision in the present state, know that that nature can be anything, and we can be anything we want to be. We can be any kind of person we want to be. We just simply say we can and start applying the action behind it and trusting the process that is taking you there. Because if it is deep down in your heart, you are on this process, you're waking up and it's taking you there. And if you trust, you don't have to be facing all the resistance. You will be exactly who you are, and you already are the person you want to be. Just be aware of who you are telling yourself every day when you look at someone else, when you look at a certain type of person, when you look at another certain type of person. Who is it, and what sort of reflection are you getting back? Because who are you telling yourself you are? Because that is who you are. You love who you are, or you don't love who you are, and you just need to realize that you don't love it. Because you're making yourself you. The amazing thing about emptiness, the amazing thing about all this potential that's going on is that being yourself, you don't have to be one way or the other. You don't have to be a victim of your consequences or any sort of victim. Just because you suffered childhood abuse, for example, doesn't mean you can't go on and become someone amazing and positive and great for the world. Tim Ferriss, I was watching his podcast the other day, he suffered horrific childhood abuse, came on to inspire millions of people, help millions of people develop themselves, and told his story recently on one of his podcasts. There's a Fleet Foxes line from the new Fleet Foxes album I've been listening to a lot recently. It's one of my favourite songs of the year. And it goes, afraid of the empty, but too safe on the shore. The reason this is happening, the reason you're becoming aware of manifestation, becoming aware of channels like mine, becoming aware of energy within your body, of awakening process, of the idea of waking up in our lifetimes, is because you wanted something, you wanted to change in your life. Whether or not you had a great upbringing or not, there's some kind of change that you want to take place. There's some kind of becoming conscious that you want to break through this structure, this ego structure, whatever it may be, this conditioning you've had put on you. You wanted to become free, and this is why we're here. And it's too safe on the shore. Jump into that emptiness. Trust where it leads. It will mold you into the person you want to be, take you free of the conditioning, the attachments you have that are making you the person you are now. But you are being the person you want to be now. But the more conscious you can come, the more you can fine-tune it so that you can live a great, abundant, free life of your choosing. And with that, we get blessings, blessings, blessings. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys take the choice now to become a conscious individual, live life on your terms. And the more you realize this, the more you let go of your conditioning, the more you realize you can do anything you want in life. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Peace and love. Bye.